Lack of electrification and available sets means Avanti's Pendolino fleet can't cover all West Coast routes, and that's where their Super Voyager fleet comes in. This is Britain's only tilting high-speed train powered by diesel, capable of 125 miles an hour. I'll be riding this train from Chester to London in first class, though this was rather disappointing. Find out why as we get this show on the rails. A very good evening from Chester Station, the main station serving one of the northwest of England's largest cities. Though the station opened in 1848, much of its present-day design, well, internally, can be attributed to the 10 million regeneration scheme that occurred in 2007. This included a new roof to replace the original one, dated back to when the station opened, but more importantly, improved accessibility by way of wheelchair ramps and lifts. You'll be surprised to see as well that a lot of the station shops here are rather local, though you do get the odd chain store such as WH Smith's here and there. Like many UK rail stations, Chester has automatic ticket gates. As I have an e-ticket, I just scanned it on the barcode reader to get through the platforms. As you enter, there's an interesting plaque here which states how far both London and Holyhead are from the city. Chester is the starting point of services along the North Wales coast. So, I got stopped by the police for filming, though they were very polite and not confrontational, so I just explained to them what I was doing and they let me carry on. Now that's over, let's get back to it. Conveniently, one of Transport for Wales' Class 175s can be seen arriving and departing for Cardiff from Holyhead. The operator links Chester to North and South Wales, as well as many other key cities in England, such as Manchester and Liverpool. Since this video was recorded, most of these have now gone off lease. One of my older videos was on a Class 175 if you want to check it out above. The Class 175s and most of TfW's express fleet will be replaced eventually by these newer Class 197 trains, which again I have looked at before. Other operators at Chester include Northern for services to Manchester and Yorkshire, Merseyrail for local services in the Merseyside region, and our operator of choice today, Avanti, the latter providing all services to and from London. Frequencies are roughly every hour, though when I recorded this video, my original service got cancelled, meaning I had to wait another hour for the next one. Not a particularly great start, but it did allow me extra time in Liverpool that day. These trains date from the early 2000s and were built by Bombardier. I can still remember when they were first introduced by Virgin Trains on the cross-country route and being mesmerised by them as a kid, despite their poor reputation. The trains are due to be replaced in the coming years on the west coast by newer build Hitachi Class 805 and 807 units, which are currently undergoing manufacturing and mainline testing. 2 have already gone off lease and moved to Grand Central, whilst they resolve issues with their legacy Class 180 fleet, whilst another 7 are due to move to cross-country to work with their existing Voyagers once replaced by the Hitachi fleet. The future of the remaining 11 Voyager units is currently unknown. Most southbound services, including our train to London, depart from Platform 4, which requires using the footbridge. For those with heavy luggage or reduced mobility, this is also accessible via the lift as I mentioned earlier. Platform 4 also has a waiting room, which did look to be in a rather sorry state, so I wouldn't spend too much time here unless it's to get out of the rain. Most Avanti services at Chester continue to and from Holyhead on the North Wales coastline. Our Class 221 Super Voyager train now arrives in from Holyhead to continue on to London. Each of Avanti's 18, originally 20, train sets consists of 5 carriages, though most sets tend to operate in pairs, giving 10 carriage train sets. Our set was originally meant to be 10, but is only 5 today owing to crew shortages, though this was the first of several short-lived issues that this train encountered today. First class is at the very front of the train and features a 2x1 seating configuration. Most of our route is on one of Britain's busiest intercity routes, the West Coast Main Line, with only 2 intermediate station calls of Crewe and Stafford, before running non-stop to London's Euston station at speeds of 125 miles an hour. We eventually arrive into the capital at around 6:30 UK time. Despite the horribly rocky start, this should be a great journey, so sit back and enjoy the ride. We depart from Chester a couple of minutes late at 16:32. Now, a disclaimer. Avanti's first class normally includes a complimentary meal service. However, I was informed that on this occasion, the staff shortage meant that this wouldn't be provided. I was rather disappointed with this, but given how my original service got cancelled, I wasn't as fussed, but I'll get into this later on. We begin on the Crewe to Chester line. There are no intermediate stations on the line, and most services tend to operate as a shuttle between the two cities. One of the notable exceptions being the Avanti services like ours. Whilst the weather is very little to be desired, it does allow for some great scenery of the Cheshire countryside. This section of the North Wales coastline was also one of the few where the chief engineer was Robert Stephenson, who was also responsible for designing the world's first intercity railway between Liverpool and Manchester, as well as the famous rocket locomotive which ran over it. Okay, now for the train's features. The seat is quite comfortable and has a nice ergonomic design, which is fully expected from a first-class product. It also features foldable armrests on the aisle side, but sadly not on the window side. The legroom was relatively okay and did the job, though not the most generous I've seen, so let's just be glad someone wasn't sitting opposite me. The seat's recline does provide an improvement, however. Just pull the lever and slide your body to adjust. Most first-class seats on the Voyagers are table seats like mine. Sadly, this means for lone travellers like me, there are very few solo seats available. A standard UK power socket is also present, with there also being a coat hanger just next to the seat's electronic reservation display. The reading light is just below this, but does require a bit of reach. And finally, a draw-down blind is available in case you want to reduce whatever sunlight there is outside or just have a rest. Unlike the cross-country Voyagers, I much prefer the Avanti ones, even to a Pendolino. The interiors, including first class, are very well executed, and I can't wait to show you more later in the trip. Leaving the line and arriving into Crewe, we pass a number of Class 90s, which are slowly deteriorating, having been out of use for a number of years, but the real prize is on the other side, where Crewe Heritage Centre is. Here we can see the predecessors of the Voyager and Pendolino trains, the HST and APT respectively, with the former having only been restored for preservation several years ago now. Crewe is often dubbed as the centre of the railway universe by enthusiasts, and now acts as a major hub on the West Coast Main Line, with links pretty much all over the country. From here, our diesel Voyager will run completely under the wires down to London. A more extreme case of this is the one diagram each weekday running from Euston via Birmingham all the way to Glasgow, which is fully electrified. Let me know down below if you want me to cover this. I'd also like to say I hope you're enjoying the video, and please do subscribe to the channel if you haven't already for more content like this if you want to support me further. Thanks! After leaving Crewe, we passed Locomotive Services Limited's depot, where they maintain their iconic preserved rolling stock for tours and excursions. Funnily enough, it was almost exactly a year since I last rode the Mark III set stable to the right, at the height of Avanti's timetable crisis. We also passed Crewe Train Maintenance Depot, where we see that Avanti is not the only West Coast operator to receive new trains. Suburban operator London North Western Railway are also due these brand new Class 730 trains to the left, which should hopefully be entering service soon. Avanti stables and has light maintenance done on its Voyager fleet here. Principal maintenance is done at Central Rivers in Burton-on-Trent alongside the cross-country fleet. We're now on the main stretch of the West Coast Main Line, where we reach our train's top speed of 125 miles an hour. This is principally thanks to the tilt function, which enables the Voyager to run at high speed despite the curvy nature of the route, though infrastructure works are currently underway to ensure non-tilting trains can also run at 125 miles an hour. Avanti's Voyager fleet are at present the only diesel trains in Britain capable of tilting. Cross Country's fleet of 24 Super Voyagers have had this feature disabled due to it being redundant on the routes they operate, and to reduce maintenance costs. It's likely this will be the same for the Avanti fleet when they're eventually transferred elsewhere. The new Hitachi fleets replacing these trains are incapable of tilting also, reflecting the recent works done on the west coast as I mentioned earlier. Our final intermediate stop is the Staffordshire county town of Stafford, which is where the overcrowding issue resolved itself. Most people got off here, which did surprise me, though I can imagine quite a few people would have been after connecting services to either Stoke, Wolverhampton or Birmingham, all stations which Stafford acts as a hub for alongside London. Prior to December 2022, North Wales Coast services called at Milton Keynes on lieu of Stafford, though this was since changed to provide more services for the town. Leaving Stafford sees us join the Trent Valley Line portion of the West Coast Main Line, which links the former with Rugby in Warwickshire. This is undoubtedly one of the curviest parts of the West Coast, where we can now experience the tilting action of the Class 221 in full, though that being said, it's getting pretty dark now. Nevertheless, we still catch Rugby just about as we speed through, which as the name suggests, is where the game itself was invented back in the 1800s. This is the perfect chance to do a walkthrough of our train. Unlike most UK high-speed trains, the Voyagers have accessible toilets in each carriage, which is a double-edged sword. This is great for those with reduced mobility, but is part of the reason why the interiors are so cramped. Coach D is rather unique, featuring 2x2 seating with tables only. I like to think this is due to the shop being at the end of this carriage, where you can get snacks and drinks. Unlike the Pendolinos, this remained the same with the Voyagers during their refurbishment, though I'll pass this time given I already spent enough money on this outing. You can also order food and drink to your seat by scanning the QR codes placed at each seat, though more often than not, this does seem to fail. Not on this occasion though, as you can see. I've placed the menu in the description below so you can have a look for yourself. The rest of the train is in a standard 2x2 seating configuration, with both airline style and table seats. Despite their pending replacement, Avanti have refurbished the entire 20 Class 221s they operated, including the 2 that they sent off lease, though First Class received a refresh by Avanti's predecessor, Virgin Trains, not long before the handover, so not much has been changed there. The largest change is in Standard Class, as shown here, which in my opinion makes them much more enjoyable to travel on. What do you think? There's also a reasonable amount of luggage space on board too, which is very handy for those travelling with heavy items. And I think I'll leave it there. Oh wait, whilst we're here, let's check out the toilets. I may as well do this one, you know, seeing as it's available. Right, door locked and we can begin. I have to say that despite the toilet paper on the seat and on the floor, Avanti have done a great job refurbishing these toilets. It's very clean and has a wide array of facilities available. Everything works as it should in the toilet, so that's a thumbs up from me. Okay, let's head back to complete the journey down to London. As you can see outside, well, sort of. It's basically pitch black now. But let's not focus on my amazing hair and hands in the reflection, let's focus on the fact we're now passing the world famous Wembley Stadium on our final approach to the British capital. Wembley Intercity Depot can also be made out, where stock old, present and new is being stabled as the day comes to a close. On that note, I'll take a moment to summarise the journey. Overall, I wouldn't say I was particularly thrilled given my service got cancelled and I'm essentially over an hour late into my final destination, not to mention the lack of catering on board. The delay did reduce my £71 ticket to a grand total of, well, nothing. That was a shame though, especially given I had such a great experience with Avanti the same morning. Nevertheless, Avanti West Coast Voyagers are fantastic trains, and I look forward to trying them again with Grand Central in the coming weeks. As we approach Euston, we can see the ongoing works to build the HS2 line to the station, though with recent events, it may be safe to say that HS2 may not even reach Euston at all. Anyway, for the current service I'm on, we arrived 5 minutes late, but as my previous service was cancelled, that brings me back into London with a total delay of 65 minutes. Now it's over to you. What did you think of Avanti West Coast Voyager trains? Have you travelled on them before? Do let me know in the comments below. I do hope you've enjoyed the video today, and if you did, please like and share it to aid the channel's growth, and do consider subscribing and turning on notifications for more content such as this every week. Okay, I think it's time I got some rest now, as it's been a pretty long day. Thanks so much for coming with me on this trip, and I'll see you in the next one.